What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're here to talk about progress in Orcs Must Die Unchained. Progress, you say? Yes, exactly that. Just the actual progression of your ability, character stats, and the like from when you start the game to when you finish it. Now, this is primarily going to be my first attempt at doing something like this super in-depth, but it's going to become part of the review process that I use for other games in the future. And I'm doing this segment just because I plan on exploring things like this in other free-to-play titles that I have a good amount of playtime in, just to basically go over some of the things I do and don't like about the actual progression systems, and to that point, the way that monetization fits into a lot of them. Because as we all know, Orcs Must Die Unchained uses loot boxes, and if you didn't know, now you know. But I think that Orcs Must Die Unchained specifically uses them in a way that isn't extremely exploitative of the people that play the game, and because of that, it should be highlighted as an example that doesn't take things too far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this, and we'll see what it's all about. Account levels have existed in the game before I actually started playing it about 2 years ago, and battle levels also exist in the game. While battle levels aren't a permanent progression system, the reason that they sort of stuck around is because as Orcs was originally advertised, it was a sort of weird MOBA mashup called Siege that has since been removed from the game. But a lot of design elements from Siege basically stuck around. And because of that, you no longer spend coin to actually purchase your weavers, but you gain them by generating experience and leveling up. So it's sort of a boon and a curse, because now the coin that you could use to previously make a choice is no longer there, and it's all just gained automatically. However, that does mean that there is a progression that each of the characters follow as they play through the game and get to the harder difficulties, and they're able to do more stuff as you learn how to reach those particular experience thresholds more often. But the account level is actually one of the more interesting ones. Previous Orcs Must Die games were single player purchased experiences and did not require you to actually grind out anything other than completing a stage to get access to the upcoming level. Orcs Must Die Unchained behaves a bit differently in that regard, and that you get a suite of levels assigned to a challenge rank or a challenge category that essentially range from easy and able to be completed at low account levels with relatively no additional account items, to difficult, which basically requires that you have a good amount of understanding of the game and usually a half decent set of tools to approach the levels with. Now, as with most things, RPGs or tower defense, preparation is key, and understanding the mechanics of the game as well as being able to dish out the numbers really allow you to win. So account levels fold in both the metric by which the game blocks the more difficult levels away from you. Believe that you get into War Mage at account level 8, Master at account level 20, and Rift Lord at account level 40. And in addition to these, there is minor boosts that get added to your hero's abilities as you gain account levels, which equate to roughly 1% of your base HP and 3% of your base damage. So around account level 100, which is the current max in the game, you will be dealing 4 times the damage, sorry, and you'll have twice the HP that you would at level 1. So it makes sense why the game would feel a bit more difficult in the later difficulties to a character that was underleveled. Now, the character levels are not the only component that actually determines your overall effectiveness of the game. Of course, with the introduction of Orcs Must Die 2, we have the ability to level up traps. So how do trap levels factor into your overall ability to deal with threats in Orcs Must Die Unchained? Almost everything in Orcs Must Die Unchained comes from loot boxes. You're going to be very comfortable opening these if you decide to play this game, and unlike a lot of games that include the majority of their content hidden behind loot boxes, there was a lot of feedback given to Robot to make sure that this was not a very annoying or exploitative process, even down to the fact that they included ways to open boxes faster for people that accumulate them rather quickly. So it's important to understand that, in my experience, loot boxes don't feel exploitative in this game. Now, I know that overall stance is that basically they feel like gambling, and to that extent there's a lot of game mechanics that do that, like whether or not it's loot boxes directly or it's that feeling of the loot explosion that you get in an action RPG. That's essentially where that idea all comes from. It's like a slot machine. Things drop, they show up on your screen, and then you have to figure out whether any of it's worthwhile to you, and then you move on and look for it to happen again. That said, the loot box system in Orcs Must Die Unchained basically works like this, and this is the beginning to actually earning your traps, earning your parts, your guardians, your traits, and everything that you'll actually be using to complete and interact with things within this game. First, clearing your maps. Each hero that completes a map, regardless of the quality of the completion, will get a hero chest for the first time they complete it. The hero chest basically gives you one less item than the usual chest for that difficulty, plus a small amount of skulls. The skulls are important because skulls are required to upgrade your traps, as well as purchase random consumables, and also to unlock your heroes if you are not spending the gold real money currency on them. So that's your engine for actually acquiring and improving everything that isn't a hero. Heroes are sort of static once acquired and basically only go up based on the account level, which I mentioned earlier in this video. That said, traps are also locked behind a challenge rating, which is acquired upon reaching the necessary account level to unlock the appropriate challenge difficulty. You'll get a nice little animation showing you that new things are available for you to acquire, and they'll show up in the highest difficulties chests at that time. And this just keeps happening as the difficulties go on until you reach Rift Lord, which is the highest difficulty in the game. That said, everything can come from loot boxes, but there's a very good chance that eventually you will open up so many things that you start getting duplicates. This is actually where some of the beauty in the design of this game kicks in. And at first it'll look like more loot boxes, but then I'll explain how that turns into something else. In loot box systems, duplicates are usually a horrible thing. So it's important to make sure that if a loot box system is used for anything, that the loot box system doesn't award too many duplicates that are completely useless. This has been a problem with even games like Overwatch, where the only thing in the loot boxes are purely cosmetic. Now, Orcs Must Die tries to combat this in a couple of ways. The first is to make duplicates actually part of the game. Traps require a certain number of copies to be able to be leveled up. This number increases over time, and eventually you'll reach a point where a trap reaches its maximum possible level obtainable in the game, and then something interesting happens. All the duplicates that you possess are removed, and you receive Gibs, which is a new currency available for something completely different. And in comes the premium shop. The premium shop is an additional section of the store where you can spend this new currency. This currency is able to purchase 2 new loot chests and a slew of cosmetics, which allow you to change various things from the skins on certain characters to the nameplates and the backgrounds that your friends see when they look at the friends list and you're on there. So it is a bit of additional content in the game, But the important thing here is actually what the two chests do. Two of the rarest things in the game are going to be epic rarity traps and epic parts. All the parts in the game that you put into traps are of epic rarity. This is the highest rarity of things that come inside of the loot boxes. And because of this, this means that it's going to be really difficult to acquire them quickly. Now, you'll acquire a lot of common items pretty quickly, and these are more than likely the first things that most people will get to tier 7. I would recommend you max out those common items as soon as possible, because they will be converted to gibs and give you access to the store as soon as you get there. Now, these chests, the parts chest and then the traps chest, will only drop rare and epic items. No uncommons, no commons. And in addition to that, you get 1,000 skulls. So it's converting junk drops into both a currency that you can use and the rarest acquirable items in the game. The only thing that I don't believe you can get here are the one-offs, the guardians and traits, as well as the gear, because they will only drop once and then afterwards they're removed from the loot table. So you still need to open the regular loot boxes for this, and there needed to be a way to get this taken care of as well. And in that case comes in the Chaos Trials. The Chaos Trials are a more difficult way to play through the game. They offer a more complex challenge and more hurdles to overcome, but with that come with even bigger rewarding chests and are repeatedly replayable. You can purchase access to the Chaos Trials by obtaining keys via the premium shop with your gibs, by purchasing keys with real money, or by playing the game and having the keys drop periodically as you play. They are random drops. So there's a lot of ways to basically just acquire more stuff in the game, which most games that have loot boxes generally try to make very, very restrictive. And I'd have to give Robot credit here to say that this actually feels pretty good. Namely because it feels like you're being rewarded for playing the game rather than just purchasing the boxes outright. Now, purchasing the boxes is obviously quicker because you don't have to jump in game and actually spend time on it. But I should point out that if you look at the actual gold costs between a chest and the Chaos Trial keys, the keys cost 50% more than a chest. If you complete a single match, you've wasted money. If you complete 2, you've made your money back already. So in that regard, Chaos Trials are actually a really, really kind gesture by the devs to allow people who want to grind to get through that stuff really fast. But then you finally get to the last bit, which is everything so far has just been loot boxes. How did you finish? And then we have the probably smartest idea of them all, which is the store deals. The store deals offer you the ability to purchase a small selection of traps every day via skulls. The price here is going to be high always, and they give you a batch of a very specific amount based on the rarity of the trap. Common traps they give you more of, rare traps they'll give you less of, and ultimately it is a very specific number of purchases that need to be made if you look to upgrade a trap this way. However, a unique feature of the store deals is that you are only able to purchase traps that you do not have at tier 7. What this means is that by reaching tier 7 with any trap, it will no longer show up in the deals rotation for the store. This means that you are able to basically choose to purchase traps that you have not maxed out daily via the store. And this is what will allow you to directly reach the maximum trap level with all the traps in the game. You would start with the loot boxes, acquire as many of those as possible, use the gibs once you start to cap out the majority of your traps, purchase the rarer traps and the trap parts, and as everything start turning into gibs and you collect all of the one-shot items, then you are able to use the store to selectively choose which traps you want to purchase that you do not have finished, and then use your skulls to level up the rest. So there is a clear path to finishing your trap collection once all of this is laid out and you have the information, but this may be something that a lot of people did not know, which is sort of the reason why I wanted to go through this. And of course, throughout all of this, you will be playing the game, you will be earning your experience, and your account level will be increasing, meaning you'll be gaining more HP and dealing more damage with your heroes. So it is a very, very tight feedback loop of improving your statistics and earning more things while playing the game, and it's all possible without really having to blow your wallet. And outside of the cosmetics, which you can spend tons of cash on because there are just so many in this game, the fact that you can go through the entire process of playing this game and acquiring the majority of the stuff without a ton of effort actually speaks volumes to how generous Robot was with developing the game. And there was a lot of pivots during the creation of the game, which eventually maybe I'll cover in another video when I review it. But I think that ultimately this system wound up being something that works out really well and being very rewarding for people that decide to stick with it, as well as just being generally a really not exploitative loot box system to me, which sounds amazing because I played a lot of free-to-play games, mobile games, things like that, stuff that I haven't put on the channel. I mean, I played like hundreds of titles. I don't think I've reached 1,000 yet, but it's been a lot. Either way, I'm going to end this here because I think for the most part that explains most of the progression for leveling up your traps and filling out most of your account items for Orcs Must Die. If you think I missed anything, feel free to drop that in the comments, and yeah, I'll get to it as soon as I get the opportunity. Either way, thanks as always for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate it. I hope you learned something, and if you did, that's great. If not, I hope you'll stick around for more. But other than that, as always, have a good one, folks.